So I am the lead librarian at UMedia, and I worked with Jen Steele, who's one of our mentors from Digital Youth Network, to create a program for our homeschool group. You know, they took the book as inspiration, and they took the idea of urban fantasy and magic cities and really ran with it. They worked for about 4 months on the project, doing all different kinds of digital storytelling work with Neverwhere. So they worked in a variety of mediums.
Our project, we wrote basically a beginning to a sequel of Neverwhere.
It was kind of inspired about like another world, like Neil wrote about. Ours was like, there were these 5 friends who were hanging out, and then they got sucked into this world with a bunch of zombies.
In terms of digital storytelling, I think when you start with fan fiction, when you start working with a specific text and start interpreting what the character looks like or writing a sequel, you really start to understand what the author was trying to get at, because to write your own version of the story, you really have to understand the book itself.
Like, if you read it, you would think, oh, it's just boring because it's written a certain way. But if you really read between the lines and like really understand what the book is, you know, what it's saying, then you will understand the story in not just one way, but in my perspective, I'm looking at the book like, okay, yeah, this is what he's talking about, or this is how he felt at this moment.
Having done our own version, kind of gave to light what the characters, what our characters were thinking, because they were kind of the same character as in Neil Gaiman's version of the story.
Also, it made me think about characters in a different way. Like the one character that we made the bad guy, I guess I always sort of was waiting for him to turn out to be a bad guy in the book, and then he wasn't. So I was like, now he's a bad guy.
I'm always absolutely thrilled and delighted when kids start reading. The point where they start remixing, where these kids were talking about their presentations today. I love that because it gets them into, further into the book, into the ideas of the book, into the words, and moves on from there.
Well, mostly we wrote the story here and like thought of everything here just like all together, because that's when we had like the time and stuff to think of all that stuff. But then when we went home, we just mostly used all the equipment we had at our house, but also before we were taking pictures with the cameras that they had here.
I got to do so many things that I've never even thought I could do before. I mean, especially with the pictures, kind of like really brought my whole poem out. I could change anything, like the color from the picture. I could change how the words would be. I could use bubble letters. I liked it really a lot.
I think we are at the beginning of something, which is changing the nature of storytelling. And the glory of some of the stuff people are starting to do with digital, and the glory of the way that people are starting to take things into culture. I love the fact that people are now making art. It's like collage. It's like this whole new glorious thing. And it's also a whole new glorious thing that copyright law has no current way of coping. And I think, we need to accept that.
I loved Neil Gaiman's talk today. I just felt so happy that we were able to introduce students to a new author, have them really care, and based on all of the books he mentioned in his talk that they haven't read, now they have huge reading lists of books of history, and they're really inspired to, I think, go out, create more, and also just to read more and experience more of his work.